So let's take a look at a design we did for a sermon series called Love Where You Live. Designs are strategic. Like there's a certain way to do them that are right and wrong. So in this video, I want to show you how to design something really well. My background is in graphic design. I want to show you some principles and some tips to help you design better for your church promotions. Now, Love Where You Live, what we did is we created a kit. This is what we call a kit, a design kit. It has all the different pieces that we need to promote this event, everything from screens and invites and social media posts and posters, all these different things. And we'll unpack that. There's a strategy behind it. When we work with our clients, we like to have a playbook that we run. So we kind of know how to do promotions no matter what's going on. But let's take a look at the design. I'm going to click into this screen design, and what we're going to do is just unpack the design. As you can tell, we are actually doing this in Canva. This design is actually designed in the program called Canva. It's a free program for nonprofits. You can get the pro version. But this design basically has some elements that I want to point out to you. So there's a title, Love and Live. You see where you is kind of tucked in here, and then we have an icon. Okay, so the idea behind this design, and what we like to do is talk to the pastor and ask for the vision, like what is the vision of this series? And then from there, we design with that vision in mind. So the vision for the series is to encourage people to get out into their neighborhoods, where they live, around the church, and to serve their community, to love God by loving others. And the church itself had a big outreach coming up in the next few weeks. So this series is going to basically set up that outreach. So the design that we wanted to do was one that reflected that vision. So we found a map for the background. We used a font that was a very bold font, but it wasn't too elegant. It looked more neighborhood-ish. And then we tucked the message, love and live is the thing you see the most. It's the first thing you see. There's a hierarchy of what we want people to see. So in design, you want to think about that what's the hierarchy of information that you want to put out there? So those are the two big things. So when you're designing something, just think about that. It should be a headline, something that's very big that grabs your attention. Then there's like a subheading, and then below that might be details. So when you're designing, keep that in mind. You want a hierarchy of information so people flow through the design with their eyes the way that they're intended to. Okay, from there, we had some design elements. So these little, so the maps in the background representing the neighborhood. The red color is chosen because of the idea of love. We had an icon. So this icon, we actually pulled that in as a vector icon, turned it into a PNG and brought it in from Adobe Illustrator. And I'll show you a great resource for finding icons like this as well. We put that in the middle. It added a nice little visual element. The icon was a nice little visual element to break up the words a little bit. And then we added these squiggly lines that showed movement, like going out into the community and having some movement in there. So when you see a map, you usually see like a line going across or something. If you're gonna have movement, it's not a stagnant map. It's here we're gonna go and take ground. So we want to get that information, that idea conveyed in this design. We have a couple different design elements in the upper left and the lower right. These are like just a grid of X's and some dots over here in the lower left. These are just visual elements that add a little bit of interest to the design. So I wanted to unpack this design so you can see how we put it together. Again, we're using Canva. We switched to Canva. I used to use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. My favorite program is Adobe Illustrator. But we switched to using Canva because we found that it serves our churches better. The church can get in there, make edits, make updates, maybe keep it, and then in a year or 2 years or so, come back to it and make some edits to it and repurpose it. So we just switched to Canva just because it's not my personal favorite, but it really works well for the church world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this design. Let me back up one step. Again, this is part of a kit, right? So the kit has multiple things going on. In fact, let me show you. This is a screen. From there, we have, let's see, these are some YouVersion. These guys do some stuff on YouVersion where they provide the message notes on YouVersion, the Bible app. They have an LED screen. They have a lower thirds that they do. We have a poster and social media, and then invite cards. So those are all the different things that we do with this particular client to design their things. The screen is the starting point. So the little icons, there we go. That icon's the right one there. But the screen is what we recommend. There's 4 things that we recommend. And again, I just want to share this with you just to help you out. We have a playbook that we develop, and for every promotion that we do, we just have the same playbook as much as possible. We might add a few things or take out a few things, but it's the same thing. And it's these 4 core elements. One is the screen. So we need a screen for the auditorium or maybe in the lobby. So 1920 by 1080, a screen. Number 2 is that we need let's see where it is here on here's the social media. So we need some sort of social media. Let me click on the social media. This is what the social media post looks like. This is actually an Instagram post that's a portrait. So it's social media. It'll go on Instagram and on Facebook. Number 3, we need a poster. Okay, I'll click on that one. This is the poster, a printed poster. This is designed to be 24 by 36, 24 inches by 36 inches. Okay, that's a size that fits our system. Okay, there are poster holders that you can get that are 24 by 36. So if you print the same size every time, you just put that into your poster holder, swap it out, and you're good to go to promote your next big thing. It also fits an A-frame sign or a sidewalk sign. So you could put these out in the parking lot or on the sidewalks. So same size, 24 by 36, works for multiple purposes. Okay, and then let's take a look at we also like to do invite cards. So we want to create a culture of inviting, like where people in the church invite neighbors, coworkers, family members. So these invite cards, whenever we do an event, we typically include a invite card version of the event. And the strategy is that on the last week, like for this particular sermon series, so on the last week of the previous series, we promote the next series and then give out invite cards for week 1 of the next series. So the newest thing usually gets the most excitement. So we want to ride the wave of the new series that's coming, and then hand out invite cards, 1 invite card to every person in the congregation, and just pause and take a moment in the service to point out the invite card, explain the new series coming up, and then challenge people to invite 1 person next week. So the key is 1 person. If we say, hey, invite 10 people next week, you're going to have 90% of the people in the room check out. But if you say, hey, can you invite 1 person next week that needs this series? Most people think that 1 is very doable. So what we like to do is guide you and help you understand communications as you promote your events so you get the best results. And then on the back side of the invite card, we're putting the service time, the website, and the address. So the basic information that people will need to then come to the church. Okay, so there's the invite card. So those are the 4 things: the screen, the invite cards, the social media posts, and your, what was that other one? Poster. Okay, so we want to cover basically printed materials and digital materials, and those cover it. And then again, you can resize it into all these different like lower thirds and LED screens, and all these different sizes can be resized. The beautiful thing is that once you have a horizontal layout like the screen, well, then you can create a lot of other horizontal layouts using Canva very easily. And then once you have a vertical layout like a poster, well, any other vertical layout, you can produce that very easily. So let's take a look at the design, and I'm going to walk you through how we created it. This is the original design concept. I'm going to duplicate this page so we can just kind of see them side by side. And I'm just going to deconstruct it and then kind of show you how we put it together. So the title is the font's called Anton. So again, we're using Canva to put this together. Anton is a font that's in Canva. You have to get Canva Pro to get some of these fonts. Canva Pro is free for nonprofits. Okay, so this is the hierarchy. These are the biggest things. And then we added a bit of an effect. So up here, there's an effect for a drop shadow. So we're adding a little drop shadow effect on that. Okay, both those words. We are spreading out these letters a little bit using the little spacing tool that's up here so that it spaces out. You can see if I space it out a little bit, you can see how that works. Okay, so we're spacing that out a little bit. So if I delete those, you can kind of see where we're started from. This is a icon. I believe we got this from Vector Stock. So vector stock is a place where you can get a bunch of vector graphics. And then from there, you can create a PNG out of it, or maybe you have another library that has PNG icons. Now, in Canva, you've got a whole lot of options. So inside this elements area, if you typed in heart, you'll find a whole bunch of icons right here. So most of the times, I would say like 98% of the time, we just find elements in Canva and then use those elements to pop into the design. Then all you have to do when you find something that you like is pop it in there, and then you can change. Usually, you can change like the color and the, you can move it around, resize it, all that stuff. Okay, so this is the icon, and we just created a circle. So again, using elements, we can come here to create a shape, which is a circle, and then we can come to the color and change it to the right color. So again, we had a color scheme that we wanted to go with for this series. We are not branding for the church branding. We are branding for the series. So that's the beautiful thing about a series, is that you're able to create a fresh look. The church might be branded with certain colors and fonts and those different things, and all over the place you see the same thing. But for a series, you have the opportunity to branch out. Then we found these design elements. I think we just typed in, if you type in dotted lines, you'll find a whole bunch of different dotted lines inside of the Canva library right there. So then you just change the color to be the right color, and you position it where you need it to go. Okay. So again, just deconstructing this design so you can see how we put it all together in using Canva. Okay, this is a little, I don't know if you can see it here. Let me see if I can unlock it here. There's a grid. There's like a little shadowy thing right here. If I turn up the opacity right here, you'll see it better. Okay, so we just basically created a shadow so that the title could really pop, stand off that background. So that shadow's in there. It's just barely transparent to where you can get a feel for it. So that's on top of the map. Okay, we have these little design elements, and again, if you search for plus pattern, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of different ones that you can just drop in. So again, if I wanted to drop in something different like that, we can do that, resize it. We like to use these as little graphic elements that they just add a bit of visual interest to the design. Okay, and they communicate something. Like these are like, they look like plots on a map. Maybe like the grid lines, the longitude, latitude type lines or plots. So that just kind of helped us communicate the idea. So it needs to make sense. Like don't just drop something in there for no reason. Have a reason for it, and then you'll be okay. These are little words. They're 10 points, very tiny. They're actually not meant to read, like be readable or functional. They're just meant to be visual eye candy, if you will, for the design. So again, if I go up to the design, you see up here and here, we've got this like visual texture. And a lot of times you can use words as visual texture. And if you make them super small, just make it so that people don't think they have to read it. So be intentional. If it's supposed to be just a visual texture, make it really small so people don't try to force themselves to read it, and don't put important information in there. Okay. So again, this says love where you live. So it just repeats the title. So it's not going to be anything that people miss if they don't read it. Okay, and then the final element is the background. So we're using a red color, and if I detach the background image, you'll see that we just found a map. So in Canva, you can go to Photos, and if I type in map, you can find a bunch of different maps over here. We could do street map to see if we can find like something that looks a little bit more like this. And again, we probably spent a decent amount of time trying to find just the right map. So I don't know that I can replicate it in a decent amount of time for this video, but that's how we did it. We just found it over here. We plotted it in. Then we went to the edit, and we can make it black and white. So this is a colored map. So if I turn the color up, you see what it looks like. But we just make it desaturized, make it black and white, because we know we want it to be this red tint. Okay. And so once we've done that, then we make it a background element. So replace background. And then because red is the background color, we can turn down the opacity and get that look that we had right there. Okay, see how that's done? You just turn down the opacity. Make sure your background color is like the red color. If you change it to like blue, then it would change the map to blue or gold or anything else. Okay. So that's pretty much, so I kind of worked backwards. This is your finished design. We're placing everything in there. And then I just deconstructed it so you can see what it looked like for us to put that together. Okay, and then just one final thing I want to show you in this. By the way, if you want designs like this, go to forchurches.org. We provide a lot of designs that you can customize using Canva, and we even provide the resizes for you. Okay, so if I were to resize this, so I'm going to delete this page here, just this example page, and I'm going to resize it. So in Canva, if you go to the magic switch up here, you can go to resize, and then you can type in inches. I'm going to do a poster. So we're going to say 24 wide and 36 tall. Okay, that's that standard size that we like to use on posters. And then we're just going to click on continue, and then it's going to do ask us if we want to do a copy resize, and we typically do yes, copy resize. And then open. This is a separate document here. Okay, so it does a good job resizing, but it's not perfect, right? It doesn't look quite like we want it. So what we'll have to do is kind of just go in and manipulate the elements to make it look the way that we want it. Have the same feel as the other one. We kind of lost the feel here. So I'm just going through resizing, kind of and moving things around to where we can get the same feel. So again, if you go to forchurches.org, we do this for you, and we just have it ready to go so that you can just get the file and use it, and then focus on ministry. Okay, so I'm going to put this right in the middle. Probably going to rotate this. So again, we're making some design decisions. There we go. So I liked how in the previous version, we had these arrows going out. In this one, again, I'm doing this kind of quick, so I might not remember exactly what we did. In fact, let me go back to we actually have a resize. So let me just go back to see how we did that. So this is basically, you see how I did it here. You might even throw in, like, there's a logo area over here where you can upload your church logo. We have a lot of different churches that we work with, so I'll choose the Riverside. This is, and then we have the logos preloaded so that we can just drop it into the file. So we might just tuck it in down in the center, something like that. Okay, let me just go to the actual, we already did the work, so let me see what we did. If I click on here. Oh, okay. So we ended up just doing the arrow coming in. So you see the arrow, and then we did the dotted line coming out. So that gave the visual reference. And then we made this as big as we could in the middle. And then we moved this up here. Okay, and then we put that logo. And we kept a couple of the little design elements. So you'll see how that worked out. So again, we spent some time doing those resizes for you. And then the great thing is that if you need to resize this to a social media post, you just come do the same thing. Once you get it resized a couple times, it's pretty simple to then come in and do and then you can just type it in up here, Instagram portrait right here. And then you can do another copy and resize. And then it'll do the work for you to resize it into the right size. And then again, you're just going to make some adjustments to make it look right, but it gets it pretty close, probably 70% there or 80% there, and you just kind of fiddle with it to get it 100% where you want it. So, all right, so hopefully that helps. Again, we have a design kit where we put together everything, and that's how we basically roll with all promotions for the church, everything from Christmas and Easter and men's and women's events, sermon series, all those different things. Hopefully this is helpful, help you understand design principles. A couple things too, just some quick hitters. We only want to use maximum of 3 different font variations on a design. So a font variation is like the size of a font. So this and this is one variation. This and this is another variation. And then this and this is a third variation. So we're using 3 variations here on these fonts. If you use a lot of different sizes or different font faces, if you use more than 2 or 3, three at the most, it starts to look just jumbled up. So a design tip is use maybe 2 different fonts. That's kind of the sweet spot. A title font and then like a body font. That's usually the best way to go. On this one, we actually ended up using 3. And then when I say fonts, sizes are important. Like the different sizes counts as a different font, or it could be an actual font face. If I chose like this is Montserrat and then this is Anton. So those are 2 different types of fonts. So this is one variation. Hopefully this makes sense. This is 2 variations. It's the same font, same size. This is 3 variations. Okay. And then when you resize fonts, make sure that you're resizing them a lot to where it looks intentional. So don't just do like a little bit of a resize. So this is way bigger. So this is 50 points compared to 6 points on this. Okay. And then compared to 2 points on that. So there's big jumps in the sizes. Don't do small jumps or else that looks accidental. But to make it look intentional, you want to do big jumps. Okay. All right, guys. Hopefully that's helpful to you to help you up your game in design. And use forchurches.org to help you with this so that you can focus on ministry.